The Great Hall on Nexus Prime was bigger than any building Jake Morrison had ever seen. Tall pillars reached up to a ceiling so high it disappeared in shadows. Thousands of alien beings sat in curved rows, their strange eyes all looking down at the small group of humans standing in the center. Jake took a deep breath and checked his notes one more time. 3 years of talks had led to this moment. 3 years of trying to make the aliens understand that humans wanted to be partners, not pets. The Galactic Council had rules for everything: where ships could go, what technology could be shared, which planets could be settled. For 3,000 years they had kept peace between hundreds of different alien species, but they treated humans like children who needed watching. High Chancellor Vextar stood up from his golden throne. He was 12 feet tall with blue skin and 4 arms. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the hall like thunder. "The Council has made its decision about the human question," Vextar said. His translator made his words sound cold and final. "Humans will remain under our protection. You may not expand beyond your home system without our permission. All new technology must be shared with the Council first. These rules will keep the galaxy safe." Jake felt his heart sink. This was exactly what they had feared. He looked back at his team. Admiral Lisa Grant stood straight and proud in her blue uniform. Dr. Ben Hayes shook his head sadly. Captain Elena Rodriguez clenched her fists. "Your Honor," Jake said, stepping forward. "We came here asking for friendship. We offered to share our knowledge freely. We wanted to trade and explore together. Why do you treat us like dangerous animals?" A ripple of strange sounds went through the alien crowd. Some were laughing. Others made clicking noises that meant disagreement. Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Humans are young and reckless. You have been in space for less than 200 years. Some species here have traveled the stars for millions of years. You do not understand the dangers. You cannot be trusted with full freedom." "We've never attacked anyone," Jake said, his voice getting louder. "Every time you asked for help, we gave it. When the Zenthari had that plague, human doctors worked day and night to find a cure. When pirates attacked the trade routes, human ships fought beside yours to stop them. What more do we need to prove?" Counselor Zixtel, a thin gray alien with too many joints, stood up. "Humans are unpredictable. You solve problems in ways that make no sense. You take risks that terrify other species. This makes you useful, but also dangerous. The protection laws will stay." Jake looked around the hall. He saw fear in some alien faces, disgust in others. A few looked sorry, but not sorry enough to speak up for humanity. Admiral Grant stepped up beside Jake. Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger underneath. "Let me understand this correctly. You want us to be your servants forever. You want our technology, our help, our protection, but you will never treat us as equals." "You may think of it however you wish," Vextar said. "The decision is final." Dr. Hayes pulled out a small device and spoke into it. "All human stations, this is Code 7, begin immediate shutdown procedures." The aliens began talking loudly among themselves. Code 7 meant total withdrawal. Every human in alien space would pack up and leave. "You cannot do this," Vextar said, his voice rising. "There are treaties, there are agreements." Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Those treaties were between equals. Since you have made it clear we are not equals, the treaties mean nothing." Captain Rodriguez activated her communicator. "This is Rodriguez to all human vessels. We are leaving. Do not take anything that belongs to the aliens. Do not damage anything. Just pack our things and go home." The hall erupted in chaos. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded that humans be forced to stay. Others said good riddance. A few begged for the humans to reconsider. Jake waited for the noise to die down. When it was quiet again, he spoke in a voice that carried to every corner of the Great Hall. "We came to you with open hands and open hearts. We offered partnership, friendship, and cooperation. We asked only to be treated as equals. You have chosen to see us as subjects to be controlled instead of friends to be trusted." He paused and looked directly at Vextar. "You have made your choice. Now we make ours. Humanity withdraws from galactic civilization. We will return to our own space. Do not follow us, do not look for us, do not expect us to come back. The human delegation turned and walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. No alien moved to stop them. At the doorway, Jake turned back one last time. You wanted to keep the galaxy safe from us. You have succeeded. But remember this day when you realize what you have lost. The humans left the hall and walked to their shuttle. Within hours, the news spread across the galaxy. Humans were abandoning every embassy, every trade post, every research station. They were calling in every favor, collecting every debt, and taking every human citizen home. Admiral Grant stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the evacuation reports come in. "How long until everyone is out?" she asked. 6 months at most," her aide replied. "The outer stations are already empty. The big colonies will take longer." Grant nodded. "Make sure everyone understands. We take nothing that isn't ours. We damage nothing. We leave quietly and cleanly, but we take all our knowledge with us." As the human ships began their long journey home, the aliens realized they had made a terrible mistake. But by then, it was too late to fix it. 2 years had passed since the last human ship disappeared into the darkness between the stars. The galaxy felt empty in ways that nobody had expected. Captain Nick Savara sat in his command chair, staring at the navigation screen with growing frustration. The trade route from Centauri Station to the Vegan colonies should have taken 3 days. It was now day 6, and they were still lost in the maze of asteroid fields. "This used to be so much easier," his navigator complained, tentacles waving, in distress. The humans had maps for everything. Their routes were perfect. Nick Savara remembered the human pilot who had trained him 2 years ago. Danny Cooper had been young and friendly, always smiling as he showed alien crews the safest paths through dangerous space. Danny had drawn maps by hand, explaining shortcuts that saved weeks of travel time. "Computer, calculate optimal route to Vegan Prime," Nick Savara ordered. Unable to comply. "Insufficient data for safe passage," the computer replied in its flat voice. The same problem was happening all across the galaxy. Human pilots had known things that computers could not calculate. They understood how gravity worked around strange stars. They could predict solar storms days before they happened. They made space travel look easy. On the research station orbiting Kepler 9, Dr. Kexmoran was having his own problems. The power distribution system was failing again. Every few days something would break down and need repair. "It never used to be like this," his assistant said, checking the failed circuits. "When engineer Katie Murphy was here, everything ran smoothly." Kexmoran nodded sadly. Katie had been a small human woman with bright red hair and clever hands. She could fix anything and improve systems that aliens thought were already perfect. The station had run at 98% efficiency when she was there. Now it barely managed 70%. She changed 3 lines of code in the main computer, Kexmoran said, looking at his old notes. "Just 3 lines. But nobody can figure out what those changes actually do." The alien technicians had tried to understand Katie's modifications. The code looked simple, but when they tried to copy it to other systems, nothing worked. It was like the humans had a special way of thinking that nobody else could learn. All across the galaxy, similar problems were growing. Factories that humans had helped design were producing 30% less than before. Mining operations were finding fewer valuable minerals. Even simple things like food distribution were becoming difficult. In the council chambers on Nexus Prime, bureaucrat Zixtel was drowning in reports. Every day brought news of more systems failing, more inefficiencies, more problems that nobody knew how to solve. "Trade revenue is down 12%, his aide reported. "Mining output has dropped 15%. Transportation costs have increased by 22%. Zixtel rubbed his gray temples. When the humans left, he had thought it would be a minor inconvenience. Surely other species could do whatever the humans had been doing, but it was becoming clear that humans had been holding the galaxy together in ways nobody had realized. "What about the research projects they were working on?" Zixtel asked. "All abandoned," the aide said sadly. "Professor Roy Baker was helping us understand dark matter. He left behind thousands of pages of notes, but our best scientists cannot make sense of them. The equations are too advanced. And the medical research? Dr. Amanda Foster was developing treatments for the Rigelian bone plague. Without her work, we expect the death rate to triple within the year. Zixtel stared out the window at the busy spaceport below. Even there, things looked different. Ships moved more slowly and less gracefully. Docking procedures that used to take minutes now took hours. Everything felt clumsy and inefficient. The most troubling reports were coming from the Outer Rim territories. Long-range sensors were detecting strange energy readings in deep space. Massive structures appeared on the screens for brief moments, then vanished completely when ships went to investigate. Commander Vexthol had been patrolling the rim for 30 years. He had never seen anything like the readings his sensors were showing. It appears to be construction activity, his science officer reported. But the scale is impossible. These structures would be larger than entire star systems. Run another scan, Vexthol ordered. The sensors swept the empty space where the readings had come from. Nothing. Just cosmic dust and distant starlight. Could it be equipment malfunction? Vexthol asked. Negative, sir. All systems are functioning normally. But these energy signatures match no known technology in our databases. Similar reports were coming in from patrol ships across the rim. Strange lights in empty space. Energy readings that made no sense. Structures that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The Council had sent investigation teams to several locations. Most found nothing but empty space. One team reported finding unusual radiation that matched no known energy source. Another team never reported back at all. On the civilian networks, rumors were spreading. Some aliens whispered that the humans had not really left. Others claimed they had found something dangerous in deep space. A few suggested that humanity was building weapons to use against the galaxy that had rejected them. But the strangest rumor was the one that scared people most. Some said the humans were not hiding in distant space at all. They were still here, just invisible, working on projects too advanced for anyone else to understand. Dr. Kexmoran had started collecting all the abandoned human research he could find. The more he studied their work, the more amazed and frightened he became. Human scientists had been asking questions that other species had never thought to ask. They were not just studying our technology, he told his research team. They were studying the fundamental structure of space and time itself. Look at these calculations about dimensional mechanics. Look at these theories about manipulating gravity on a galactic scale. His team studied the human equations with growing alarm. If these theories were correct, humans had been learning how to reshape reality itself. Do you think they are really gone? His assistant asked quietly. Kexmoran looked at the strange readings from the rim territories. He thought about the systems that were failing without human help. He remembered how quickly and completely humanity had vanished. No, he said finally. I think they are very much still here. We just cannot see what they are doing yet. The galaxy had wanted the humans gone. Now they were discovering that getting what they wanted might have been the worst mistake in galactic history. Captain Nixavara was hauling cargo near the outer rim when his sensors started screaming warnings. Something massive had appeared directly ahead of his ship, blocking out the stars. What in the void is that? His navigator gasped, staring at the display screen. The structure was impossible to describe. It looked like a city made of light and metal, stretching for thousands of kilometers in every direction. Curved towers twisted through space like frozen lightning. Energy flowed along pathways that seemed to exist in more dimensions than normal space allowed. Sir, it's beautiful, his engineer whispered. Look at how the energy flows. It's perfectly efficient. No waste at all. Nixavara had never seen anything so advanced. The engineering was beyond anything in the galactic databases. It made the greatest alien megastructures look like children's toys. Move closer, he ordered. I want full sensor readings. As his ship approached, the massive structure began to fade. Within minutes, it had vanished completely, leaving only empty space and swirling energy patterns that his instruments could barely detect. Did we record everything? Nixavara asked. Yes, sir, but the data doesn't make sense. The structure was using technologies that shouldn't exist. And the energy signature, His science officer paused, checking the readings again. "Sir, I think this was human work." The report reached the Galactic Council within hours. Emergency sessions were called. Scientists studied the sensor data with growing alarm. The structure had been real, but it operated on principles that no known species understood. High Chancellor Vextar called his security advisors to a private meeting. The Great Hall felt cold and empty compared to 3 years ago when humans had walked out. "How certain are we that this was human construction?" Vextar asked. Security Chief Kordash pulled up holographic displays showing energy patterns. The mathematical signatures match theoretical work that human scientists published before they left. Dr. Alan Foster wrote papers about dimensional engineering that our experts said were impossible. This structure proves his theories were correct. Vextar's forearms moved nervously. Alan Foster had been a quiet human who worked with alien researchers on advanced physics. He had always seemed friendly and harmless. His research papers had been full of wild ideas about manipulating space and time. What was Foster's specialty? Vextar asked. Multidimensional construction and parallel space manipulation, Kordash replied. He believed it was possible to build structures that existed in several dimensions at once. Our scientists laughed at him. They said it was fantasy. The Chancellor stared at the energy readings. If humans could build things that existed in multiple dimensions, it would explain how the structures could appear and disappear so quickly. They were not hiding in distant space. They were hiding in spaces that existed alongside normal reality. More reports came in over the following weeks. Trading ships reported seeing impossible cities floating between stars. Military patrols found construction sites the size of solar systems that vanished when approached. Some crews came back terrified and confused, claiming they had seen things that could not exist. The most disturbing report came from the research vessel Harmony's Dream. They had been studying an anomaly near the Vega system when something incredible happened. Captain's log, day 43. The ship's commander had recorded. We detected massive energy expenditure approximately 2 light-years from our position. Investigation revealed construction activity on a scale never before witnessed. The builders appear to be reshaping space itself, creating stable corridors between distant points. The recording continued with growing excitement and fear. We observed what can only be described as the installation of a transportation network, spanning multiple star systems. The engineering involved would require understanding of physics beyond our current knowledge. We attempted to make contact, but the builders detected our presence and activated some kind of concealment technology. The entire construction site vanished in seconds. Dr. Kexmoran studied every report he could find. As a respected scientist, he had access to classified information from military scouts and research vessels. The picture that emerged was terrifying. They are not just building structures, he told his research team. They are rebuilding space itself. Look at these gravitational readings. They show artificial gravity wells being created and moved. Stars are being repositioned to create more efficient energy flows. His assistant studied the data with wide eyes. That's impossible. Moving a star would require more energy than an entire civilization produces in 1,000 years. It would require that much energy using our methods. Kexmoran agreed. But humans were always different. They found ways to do things that we thought were impossible. Remember how they solved the Rigelian transport problem? They used 3 small ships instead of 1 big one and cut travel time in half. The Rigelian transport problem had puzzled alien engineers for decades. Human engineer Katie Murphy had looked at it for one afternoon and found a solution so simple that everyone felt stupid for missing it. That was how humans worked. They saw obvious answers that nobody else could see. If they can move stars, what else can they do? The assistant asked quietly. Before Kexmoran could answer, emergency alarms began sounding throughout the station. The communication system crackled to life with urgent messages from the Galactic Defense Network. All vessels, this is Fleet Command. We have confirmed reports of massive objects moving through space near the galactic core. Repeat, unknown objects the size of planets are traveling at impossible speeds toward the outer territories. All civilian traffic is advised to avoid the core region immediately. Kexmoran rushed to his laboratory's long-range sensors. The readings showed enormous masses moving through space in perfect formation. The objects were traveling faster than light but without using any known form of propulsion. They are not ships, he realized with growing horror. They are moving entire worlds. The implications hit him like a physical blow. If humans could move planets and stars, they could reshape the entire galaxy. They could create new solar systems, design better trade routes, even move dangerous objects away from populated areas. But they could also use those same powers as weapons. A species that could move planets could destroy civilizations by changing the orbits of their homeworlds. As reports continued to flood in from across the galaxy, one thing became clear. Humanity had not fled to distant stars to hide. They had left to find the space and resources they needed for the biggest construction project in galactic history. The aliens had wanted humans gone to keep the galaxy safe. Instead, they had unleashed something that could remake the galaxy according to human design. And judging from the scale of what they were building, the humans were just getting started. Intelligence analyst Kordash had not slept in 3 days. His office was covered with star charts, energy readings, and scattered reports from across the galaxy. Somewhere in all this data was the answer to what humanity was really doing. "Computer, show me all unusual energy signatures from the past 6 months," he commanded. The holographic display filled with thousands of red dots scattered across the galaxy map. At first glance, they looked random. But Kordash had been staring at this data for weeks, and he was starting to see a pattern. "Computer, connect all energy signatures with straight lines." The dots connected, forming a vast web of light that stretched across the entire galaxy. The pattern was too perfect to be accidental. It looked like a giant circuit board made of stars and empty space. "By the void," Kordash whispered. "They're not building separate structures. They're building one massive machine using the entire galaxy as components." He called his assistant over to look at the display. "What do you see?" The young Zenthari studied the pattern carefully. "It looks like a power distribution network, sir, like the electrical systems in a city, but using space itself as the wiring." Kordash nodded grimly. "And what would you need a galaxy-sized power grid for?" Before his assistant could answer, priority alerts began flashing on every screen in the room. Emergency messages were coming in from research stations throughout the outer territories. Dr. Tyrannel's voice crackled through the communication system. "This is Archaeology Station 7. We've made a discovery that changes everything. The humans didn't first contact us 30 years ago. They've been here much longer." The transmission included detailed scans of ancient survey markers found on barren worlds near the galactic rim. The markers were clearly human in design, but they were old. Very old. Carbon dating shows these markers are over 50 years old. Dr. Tyrannel continued. "Humans were exploring and mapping our territory for decades before they announced their presence. They knew about us long before we knew about them." Kordash felt his blood turn cold. 50 years of secret exploration meant humans had been studying the galaxy's structure, resources, and weaknesses for half a century before making first contact. Every diplomatic meeting, every technology exchange, every friendly conversation had been part of a much larger plan. "Computer, access the human research files that were left behind," Kordash ordered. Thousands of documents appeared on his screens. Most were scientific papers that alien experts had dismissed as impossible theories. But now, with the evidence of moving planets and dimensional construction, those impossible theories looked very different. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had written extensively about something called galactic engineering. Her papers described methods for improving the efficiency of entire star systems by repositioning planets and adjusting stellar output. Alien scientists had called her ideas fantasy. Engineer Kate Murphy had published designs for transportation, networks that could move ships instantly between any 2 points in the galaxy. Her work had been labeled as impossible because it required manipulating the fabric of space itself. Physicist Danny Cooper had calculated how to harvest energy directly from black holes and channel it across thousands of light years without loss. His mathematics had been so advanced that no alien scientist could verify his equations. They knew exactly what they were doing from the beginning, Kordash realized. Every human who came to our worlds was gathering information for this project. The most chilling discovery came when he accessed the personal files of Ambassador Jake Morrison. Hidden in his diplomatic reports were detailed assessments of every alien species' technology, psychology, and potential resistance to change. One report was particularly disturbing. Alien species show predictable response patterns to new ideas. They resist change even when it benefits them. Recommend proceeding with Galactic Improvement Project without seeking permission. Species will adapt to improvements after implementation, rather than approve them beforehand. Kordash stared at those words with growing horror. Jake Morrison had been friendly and diplomatic during the peace talks, but he had already decided that aliens would never agree to humanity's real plans. The talks had been a formality. Humans had been preparing to reshape the galaxy whether other species wanted it or not. A new priority message interrupted his thoughts. It was from Communications Officer Lexton at the main monitoring station. "Sir, we've intercepted a human transmission. It's brief and heavily encrypted, but we managed to decode part of it." The message appeared on Kordash's screen. Phase 3 completed ahead of schedule. Dimensional anchors are stable across all target sectors. Power grid operating at 97% efficiency. Beginning. Phase 4, implementation. Expect. Visible changes within 6 months. Visible changes, Kordash repeated quietly. Whatever humans had been building in secret was about to become obvious to everyone. He pulled up the galaxy map again and studied the energy pattern. If this was a power grid, what was it designed to power? The scale suggested something that would affect every star system in the galaxy. His assistant had been analyzing the intercepted transmission. "Sir, there's more. The message includes coordinates for something called primary control nodes. They're located in star systems throughout the galaxy." Kordash checked the coordinates against his star charts. The control nodes were positioned at mathematically perfect intervals, creating a three-dimensional grid that encompassed every inhabited world. "Computer, show me what happens if we activate all these control nodes simultaneously," he ordered. The holographic display showed energy flowing between the nodes in complex patterns. The simulation revealed a network that could control gravity, electromagnetic fields, and even the flow of time across galactic distances. "They're not just building a machine," Kordash said in amazement. "They're turning the entire galaxy into a machine. Every star, every planet, every empty space is becoming part of a system that humans can control." The implications were staggering. With this level of control, humans could eliminate dangerous stellar phenomena, optimize trade routes by adjusting gravity, prevent wars by controlling resource distribution, and ensure that every world had perfect conditions for life. But they could also punish any species that opposed them by making their star systems uninhabitable. They could reward cooperation by improving local conditions. They would have godlike power over every civilization in the galaxy. Emergency meetings were called throughout the night. The Galactic Council convened in desperate session as the truth spread through official channels. Humanity had not fled in defeat. They had withdrawn to complete the greatest engineering project in galactic history, and they were almost finished. The changes began at dawn on Nexus Prime. High Chancellor Vexitar was reviewing emergency reports when his aide burst into the chamber with panic in his eyes. "Your Honor, the stars are different," the aide gasped. "Look outside." Vexitar walked to the great window that looked out over the capital city. The sky looked wrong. Stars that had been dim for millions of years now burned with brilliant light. New stars had appeared where empty space used to be. The familiar constellations were gone, replaced by perfect geometric patterns that hurt to look at. "What's happening?" Vextar demanded. Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated itself. A calm human voice filled the chamber with words that chilled everyone who heard them. "Citizens of the galaxy, this is Commander Roy Baker of the Human Engineering Corps. Do not be alarmed by the changes you are observing. We are implementing improvements to your stellar neighborhood." Vexitar recognized the name. Roy Baker had been a human scientist who worked on theoretical physics. He had seemed harmless during the diplomatic meetings years ago. Now his voice carried the confidence of someone with unlimited power. For the past 5 years, humanity has been constructing a galactic management system. Baker's voice continued. We have repositioned stars for optimal energy output, created stable wormhole networks for efficient transportation, and established gravitational controls to prevent natural disasters. On worlds throughout the galaxy, billions of beings stared up at skies that no longer looked familiar. Trade routes that had taken weeks now could be traveled in hours through corridors of twisted space. Dangerous radiation from unstable stars had vanished overnight. Dr. Kexmoran watched from his research station as a massive cargo ship materialized next to his facility without warning. The ship was human in design but built with technologies that seemed to bend reality around them. This is Transport Vessel Unity requesting permission to dock, a friendly human voice said over the radio. We're delivering supplies and infrastructure, upgrades. I don't understand, Kexmoran replied. We didn't request any supplies. Your station's efficiency is currently at 71%, the human pilot explained. We're here to bring it up to optimal performance. Standard improvement package includes new power systems, enhanced life support, and gravity stabilizers. Similar ships were appearing at facilities across the galaxy. Humans emerged from them with toolkits and friendly smiles, ready to fix problems that aliens had learned to live with. They improved everything they touched, whether the aliens wanted help or not. Captain Nixvara was piloting his cargo hauler through what used to be a dangerous asteroid field when space suddenly became smooth and clear. The asteroids were still there, but they now moved in perfect harmony, creating safe corridors for ships to pass through. Navigation computer online, his ship announced in a new, more pleasant voice. Optimal route to destination calculated. Estimated travel time 4 hours 12 minutes. The same trip used to take 6 days. Now it was faster than anyone had thought possible. In the council chambers on Nexus Prime, emergency sessions ran around the clock as reports flooded in. Every star system was being modified. Every trade route was being improved. Every dangerous phenomenon was being controlled or eliminated. They're making everything work better, Security Chief Kordash reported. Disease rates are dropping because they've eliminated harmful radiation from nearby stars. Transportation is 3 times faster because they've created stable space corridors. Mining operations are finding more resources because they've guided asteroids into easier orbits. High Chancellor Vextar listened to the reports with growing dread. Everything the humans were doing was helpful. Every change made life better for Galaxy's citizens, but none of it had been requested or approved. They're forcing improvements on us, he said. They're treating the entire galaxy like a broken machine that needs fixing. The terrifying part is that they're right, Kordash admitted. Our civilization was inefficient and dangerous. They've fixed problems we didn't even know we had. A new human transmission interrupted their meeting. This time the voice belonged to someone they all remembered. Greetings, members of the Galactic Council. This is Ambassador Jake Morrison. The same human who had walked out of their chamber 5 years ago was now speaking to them from a position of absolute power. I want to address the concerns that many of you are feeling. Morrison's voice was calm and reasonable. Yes, we are making changes to your galaxy without asking permission. First, we learned during our diplomatic talks that asking permission for improvements leads to endless delays and political arguments. Vextar found his voice. You had no right to do this without our consent. You're correct, Morrison replied smoothly. We had no right to improve your lives, extend your lifespans, make your world safer, and solve your transportation problems. We did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. The human's words cut deep because they were true. Every change humanity had made was beneficial. They had eliminated stellar threats, optimized resource distribution, and created transportation networks that would benefit everyone for millions of years. The galaxy now operates at peak efficiency, Morrison continued. Dangerous stars have been stabilized. Hostile environments have been made habitable. Resource shortages have been eliminated. Through better distribution, we estimate that our improvements will prevent approximately 4 billion deaths over the next 1,000 years. On worlds throughout the galaxy, the evidence was undeniable. Children on radiation-poisoned planets were breathing clean air for the first time. Colonies that had struggled to survive were suddenly thriving. Ancient conflicts over scarce resources were ending, because there were now plenty of resources for everyone. "We offered to work with you to build something beautiful together," Morrison said, his voice carrying just a hint of sadness. "When you refused, we built it ourselves. The results speak for themselves." Commander Roy Baker's voice joined the transmission. "The Galactic Management System is now fully operational. All major stellar phenomena are under human control. We will continue to make improvements as needed. Your cooperation is not required, but it would be appreciated." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Outside the windows, the strange new stars continued to burn with perfect light. Transport ships moved through space with impossible speed and efficiency. The galaxy itself hummed with new energy as humanity's great machine worked flawlessly. The aliens had feared what would happen if they drove humanity away. Now they knew. Humans had not sought revenge or conquest. Instead, they had given the galaxy the greatest gift imaginable, a universe that actually worked properly. The most terrifying part was not that humans had gained control over everything. The most terrifying part was that they were using that control to make everyone's lives better, whether they wanted it or not. The galaxy had learned to fear not human anger but human kindness backed by unlimited power.